It's Shootout, brought to you with the all-new Nissan Rogue, redesigned, redefined. Now, Merseyside Derby week. We're asking this, Greg. Who finishes in the top four, Liverpool or Everton?
It's a really crowded house between number 2 and number 7 in the table right now. My inclination, and this is really hard to spit out, is that neither. And I say that because of Chelsea's resurgence, and I say that because of Leicester City's consistency. I'm not sure there's a spot because Leicester, Chelsea, or Man United will have to give something back. And what if they don't? Liverpool, the math isn't working for them right now. They're not only going to have to get results on their own, such as the Merseyside Derby this weekend, but they're going to have to get some help from some other squads. And I see those three squads as getting stronger, not weaker right now. What's your thought?
Well, I tell you, my initial reaction to that is you've forgotten our conversation about when the pandemic is over and when we get some normality. My invitation to take you around the city of Liverpool, to Anfield, to Goodison, the Beatles story, to take you for a drink down Matthew Street, to show you the two famous cathedrals. I'm not sure you're going to be allowed into the city of Liverpool after that answer, Greg.
It's very possible. I realize that. I thought picking them second, like the controversy of picking them not to repeat as Premier League champions, describing their title, Steve, as fortunate. I meant that as a compliment. You create your own fortune sometimes. I certainly heard it from Liverpool fans who watched DAZN on a regular basis. But then I got to push it back to you. If Liverpool is getting in, and if you're about to say that they are, who falls out? I mean, we can't stick 6 squads in the top 4. It's impossible.
No, it's a fascinating debate. And rest assured, I've got people in the know. I'll get you into the city of Liverpool despite that answer. When we get some normality, there'll be a drink waiting for you. Listen, the title race isn't going to be a race, but the top 4 one is going to be fascinating. And I actually think this weekend is one of the most fascinating Merseyside derbies in a long time, because of exactly what we are talking about. They have been apart for so many years. It's been so hard for the blue side of the city to look at Liverpool, beating them in derbies, and then, of course, in the last couple of years, seeing them reign in Europe, and, of course, particularly painful for Evertonians, lifting the Premier League trophy after that 30-year wait last season. I was there at Goodison for the incredible FA Cup game against Tottenham, where I didn't think they actually played that well and came out on top in extra time. That extra time cost them against Fulham last time out. Had they won that game against Fulham, wow, they would have been right in there with Liverpool. But I still think there's so much spice about this Merseyside derby. It will play a small part as well in who finishes in the top 4. And I do think, Greg, not comfortably, but eventually, Liverpool will get into that top 4. And this is why. I think one big reason about this, I think they have to get Jordan Henderson back into the centre of their midfield. I think he's started 12 Premier League games in there this season. They've won 8 and drawn 4. They haven't lost a game with their inspirational captain in the centre of midfield. And in fact, I go even further than that. When Fabinho's fit, and I think it was only a small muscle injury, I get them both in there. So in other words, I get Henderson, Fabinho and Wijnaldum in there. Then they've got their first choice midfield 3. They've got their first choice front 3. And they've got their first choice goalkeeper and fullbacks. That's 9 of the key players that ran away with the league last season. Now, whoever is going to play at the centre-back, if it's Kabak, if it's Nat Phillips, at least they're central defenders. They're not playing out of position, and they have the likes of Henderson and Fabinho right in front of them to protect them. They haven't had that Liverpool back four with 12 different centre-half partnerships this season in the Premier League. It's incredible just to reel off that statistic. And that obviously sets in deeper and deeper, and we've seen it with the goalkeeper in the last couple of weeks, that indecision, that lack of confidence, because he hasn't got that protection. I think if they go back to that, they win games and they finish in the top 4, Greg. And now you're going to come back to me and ask who misses out. I'm probably going to say, sadly, Leicester fans.
I'm with you that it's going to be close. Like, nothing's getting decided before the second weekend in May. Nothing. Outside of the title to Man City, quite obviously. They might clinch it earlier than Liverpool did last year, which would be remarkable. Last season, 8 players for Liverpool, so at least 26 of the 38 Premier League matches. And they've been a lot more chop and change this year. Remember, they wrapped up the league also with a handful of matches left. So they were able to sit Mo Salah or Jordan Henderson in a couple of those late games, game 36, 37, when the points didn't. I know they were chasing 100 points, but obviously Klopp wanted to play some different players. So the lineups changed a little bit. So this is one of those scenarios where it's going to be interesting. Why is it all of a sudden going to change and Liverpool is all of a sudden going to ascend and other teams are going to fall off? I worry about Chelsea. And I know you and I discussed this ad nauseum over the Christmas break, early in the new year. They're flying now. They just are. 4 wins and a draw in their last 5. Tuchel's made an impact. I didn't love how Frank Lampard was left to twist in the wind. Neither did you. I think Man United's found their way as well. And they've all got better health right now than Liverpool. So it's a real race to get Jota back in to play some matches. It's a race, as you mentioned, to get Henderson back up to midfield where he rightfully belongs. And this is a big one for Everton this weekend. Everton, if they lose this match, it's obviously they're really not a top 4, top 5 candidate. They need the 3 points. A draw doesn't help them as much as it helps Liverpool.
No, and I think Everton have improved, and I think, it was never going to happen overnight. They had that super start when Allen came in and Hammers obviously scoring as well. Just when you think that, they always seem to then go and lose a game. Newcastle at home, Fulham at home, frustrations. I know it's been that kind of season, but I just feel they're 1 or 2 players away. But I do think if they keep adding those young players like they have, Ancelotti will get Everton near that top 4. I don't think it's this season. I think they'll give Liverpool a terrific game in this Merseyside derby. And I repeat, it is Everton's most important game of the season. We've had this debate on Shootout before. It isn't Liverpool's. It's way up there. Of course it is. In the city, blue meets red. But Manchester United takes it to another level because of the history and tradition with Liverpool. It is everything for Everton. This is the closest they've been to Liverpool for so long going into a Merseyside derby. And they think Liverpool are there for the taking because of those 3 consecutive defeats. You're right, with all those statistics and players and inconsistencies, you can't finish in the top 4 with 13 different central defensive partnerships when there's midfielders playing in there as well. I think if Klopp picks 2 centre-halves, keeps them there, keeps Henderson and Fabinho fit in front. I don't think Thiago starts, Greg, at the moment. I think he's still got a role to play, but at the moment he has to go back to basics. And I think, let's be honest, if they do that with that midfield 3, the 2 fullbacks and the front 3, and as you say, Jota to come back in, I think Liverpool get into the top 4.
And scoring goals for Alisson makes a difference. He's carried them at times. He's been brilliant to get to turn 1 point into 3 and 0 into 1 in his career. So they obviously have his back. It's a rough couple games for Alisson, quite obviously, with the blunders, but he'll be fine the rest of the way. I don't think anyone doubts that guy can rebuild his confidence in a hurry. And I'd say this, I love how you laid that out for Everton. Yeah, massive matches, the Merseyside derby. They've also got an FA Cup quarterfinal coming against Man City, like getting through past Spurs. And that brings me to Spurs, since we're going around the horn a little bit, but it's remarkable. We're talking about Europe, and we're talking about a top 5, top 6. And obviously Arsenal isn't factored in, and not that they deserve to be. They've played themselves out of, the potential to make the Champions League. But what about Spurs leading the Premier League? They're the last team to take points off Man City. It's remarkable to think about. What if they go a year without silverware and they finish 8th? Those are big questions for Mr. Levy to decide whether Jose Mourinho is back in August and September. This is the last stand for him with a big club in England. It may be the last stand with him with a big club in all of Europe. And Spurs need to really rally and at least make this interesting. But again, the math isn't working for them right now, Steve, not in the least. And they're not playing like they're about to ascend to something like Chelsea started to when Thomas Tuchel arrived. They don't have that injection of new life at Spurs right now. They look a little bit defeated and lacking confidence. That's a problem.
It certainly is. But if Everton could win that Merseyside derby, it would set the cat amongst the proverbial pigeons. Will Merseyside and the city of Liverpool be blue or red this weekend? You can find out on DAZN. Leon Osman and Michael Owen, one in blue corner, one in the red. Join me for that. Hope you can as well, right here on DAZN.